We are yours forever now, human. The words echoed in Sergeant Tyler Johnson's mind as he stared at the group of alien females huddled behind him. Their large, dark eyes blinked in fear and awe, a stark contrast to the cold, emotionless gaze of their Milan captors lying dead on the rubble-strewn street. Tyler, a 28-year-old U.S. Army Ranger, had made a split-second decision that would alter the course of the war. His small squad of survivors, tasked with reaching a hidden underground bunker in the ruins of Washington, D.C., now found themselves protectors of the very species they'd been fighting against. The devastation around them was a grim reminder of the Malone invasion that had left Earth's military forces in shambles. Collapsed buildings and debris-choked streets formed a labyrinth of destruction, hiding both danger and salvation. Somewhere in this concrete maze lay their objective, a bunker containing vital data on Malone weaknesses. Tyler's attention snapped back to the present as Novak, a young Malone female scientist, approached him. Her broken English carried a weight of gratitude and desperation. "Thank you, human. You save us from death." The irony wasn't lost on Tyler. These aliens, part of the technologically advanced species that had brought humanity to its knees, now looked to him for protection. Novak explained their plight, deemed genetically inferior due to trace amounts of human DNA. They had been sentenced to death. The result of unauthorized breeding experiments, their very existence was an affront to Malone purity standards. As Tyler processed this information, he realized the magnitude of his actions. By intervening in the execution, he had not only saved lives, but potentially changed the dynamics of the war. The rescued Malon females, outcasts among their own kind, now pledged their loyalty to him and his squad. This unexpected turn of events presented both opportunities and challenges. Novak's knowledge of Malone technology could prove invaluable in their mission to reach the bunker. However, the added responsibility of protecting these alien refugees complicated an already dangerous journey. Tyler surveyed his team, noting their mix of confusion and determination. They had a new mission now, one that went beyond retrieving data. They were the vanguard of a potential shift in the conflict, as news of their actions spread among human resistance cells, inspiring hope in the face of overwhelming odds. The streets ahead teemed with dangers. Malon patrols would be hunting for the escaped females, adding to the already treacherous path to the bunker. Tyler knew that every step forward could trigger an encounter. Every moment of rest could lead to discovery. As they prepared to move out, Tyler's mind raced with the implications of their newfound allies. The data in the bunker, combined with the genetic impurities of the rescued Malon, could be the key to turning the aliens' own biology against them. It was a slim hope, but in this war-torn world, it might be enough to change the tide. With a gesture, Tyler signaled his squad to form up. The Malon females fell in line, their eyes fixed on the human who had become their unexpected savior. As they moved deeper into the ruins of the once proud capital, Tyler couldn't shake the weight of the words that now defined his mission. "We are yours forever now, human." The war had entered a new phase, and Sergeant Tyler Johnson found himself at its center, leading a diverse group of humans and aliens towards an uncertain future. The fate of two species now rested on their success, and the long road to the bunker stretched before them, fraught with peril and possibility. The ruined streets of Washington, D.C. stretched before Tyler and his unlikely band of survivors, like a treacherous maze. Every step brought them closer to their objective, but also increased the danger of detection. As they approached the coordinates of the hidden underground bunker, the air grew thick with tension. Corporal Martinez, scouting ahead, suddenly raised a closed fist, the signal to halt. Tyler crouched low, gesturing for the others to take cover. Through the haze of dust and debris, he spotted the telltale shimmer of Malon energy shields. A patrol was sweeping the area, their alien forms moving with eerie precision through the wreckage. "We can't risk a firefight," Tyler whispered to his squad. "Not with our guests." He glanced back at Novak and the other Malon females, their large eyes wide with fear. Novak inched closer to Tyler. "Human, I may have solution," she said, her voice barely audible. "My genetic structure, it can mask our presence. Temporarily." Tyler's eyebrows shot up. "What do you mean?" "Malon scanners, They search for pure genetic signatures, Novak explained. My impurity, it creates interference. I can extend effect to group, but not for long. It was a risk, but they were out of options. Tyler nodded. Do it. Novak closed her eyes, concentrating. A faint, shimmering field enveloped the group. Tyler watched in amazement as a Malon scout passed within feet of their position, its sensors sweeping right over them without registering their presence. Move, now, Tyler ordered, keeping his voice low. They crept through the ruins, hearts pounding, until they reached the entrance to an old subway station. As they descended into the darkness, Novak's field flickered and faded. Cannot maintain longer, she gasped, collapsing against the wall. Tyler caught her before she fell. You did good, Novak, real good. The group settled into the relative safety of the abandoned station, the musty air a stark contrast to the acrid smoke above. As they caught their breath, Tyler realized this might be their only chance to rest and regroup before the final push to the bunker. He approached Novak, who was recovering her strength. That trick of yours, it's impressive. What else can you do? Novak tilted her head, considering. We all have unique traits, result of experiments. She gestured to her companions. Lyra can interface with human technology. Zar has enhanced strength and reflexes. Tyler's mind raced with possibilities. These abilities could be game changers in their fight against the Malone. As he mulled over this new information, Corporal Chen called out from her position near an old ticket booth. Sarge, you need to hear this. Tyler joined her, listening to the crackle of intercepted Malone communications. His blood ran cold as he deciphered the message. General Kraz is coming to Earth, he announced to the group. The Butcher himself. The implications were clear to everyone. Kraz was notorious for his brutal tactics and his role in implementing the genetic purity standards that had condemned Novak and her companions to death. Tyler paced the length of the platform, his mind working furiously. An idea began to form, audacious, perhaps suicidal, but with the potential to turn the tide of the war. We could take him, Tyler said, his voice low but intense. When his ship enters the atmosphere, with Novak and the others, we could bypass their security systems. The suggestion hung in the air, electric with possibility and danger. But before anyone could respond, footsteps echoed through the tunnel. Tyler raised his weapon, only to lower it as a group of humans emerged from the darkness. A woman stepped forward, her posture radiating authority. Sergeant Johnson, I'm Captain Sarah Chen, 5th Resistance Cell. We've been tracking you since your unusual rescue operation. Tyler tensed, unsure of this new development. Captain, we're on a mission to the underground bunker. I know, Chen interrupted, and it needs to remain the priority. The data stored there is crucial for developing a weapon against the Malone. The subway station erupted into heated debate. Some of Tyler's squad sided with Chen, arguing that they couldn't afford to deviate from their original mission. Others, along with the Malone females, supported Tyler's plan to capture Kraz. As the argument intensified, Novak's voice cut through the clamor. Wait, I have made discovery. All eyes turned to the Malone scientist. She stood shakily, her large eyes darting between Tyler and Chen. The bunker data, combined with Kraz's personal files. Novak paused, gathering her thoughts. Together, they could create weapon far more powerful than either alone. The revelation landed like a bombshell, silencing the debate. Tyler felt the weight of command bearing down on him as he considered their options. Both objectives now seemed equally critical, but pursuing them simultaneously would stretch their resources dangerously thin. As he prepared to announce his decision, Tyler locked eyes with Novak. In her alien gaze, he saw trust, hope, and something more, a connection that transcended their differences. Whatever he chose would shape not only the course of the war, but also the future of this unlikely alliance between humans and Malone outcasts. The distant rumble of Malone patrols echoed through the tunnels, a reminder that time was running out. Tyler took a deep breath, knowing that his next words would set them on a path from which there was no turning back. Tyler's eyes swept across the faces of his team, a mix of dedication and uncertainty etched on their features. the weight of command pressed down on him as he made his decision. "We're splitting up," he announced, his voice firm. "I'll lead a team to infiltrate General Kraz's command ship. Captain Chen, you'll take the rest to the underground bunker." A ripple of tension passed through the group. Tyler quickly outlined the plan, assigning roles and dividing resources. As he spoke, his gaze lingered on Novak, whose large eyes shimmered with a mix of fear and perseverance. "Novak, you're with me," Tyler said. "Your knowledge of Malon tech will be crucial for getting us aboard that ship." The Malon scientist nodded, her slender fingers fidgeting with a piece of alien equipment. "I will not fail you, human Tyler." As the two groups prepared to part ways, Captain Chen approached Tyler. "This is a hell of a risk, Sergeant," she said, her voice low. "But if anyone can pull it off, it's you. Good hunting." Tyler clasped her arm. "Same to you, Captain. We'll rendezvous at these coordinates in 48 hours. If we're not there..." "We'll be there," Chen interrupted, a hint of a smile on her weathered face. With a final nod, the group separated, each vanishing into the shadows of the ruined city. Tyler led his team through the devastated streets, their progress slow and cautious. The distant hum of Malon's ships grew louder as they approached the landing zone where Kraz's command vessel was set to touch down. Novak suddenly grabbed Tyler's arm, pulling him behind a collapsed wall. "Patrol?" she whispered, pointing to a group of Malon soldiers rounding a corner. Tyler signaled for everyone to stay low. As the patrol passed, he couldn't help but marvel at how quickly Novak had adapted to their tactics. Her eyes, once filled with fear, now scanned their surroundings with sharp focus. When the coast was clear, they pressed on. The massive silhouette of the Malon command ship loomed before them, its sleek design a stark contrast to the ruined human architecture surrounding it. "How do we get in?" Tyler asked Novak. The Malon scientist studied the ship, her head tilted in concentration. "There," she said, pointing to a barely visible seam in the hull. "Maintenance access. I can bypass security protocols." Tyler nodded. "Lead the way." As they approached the ship, Novak worked quickly, her fingers dancing over a hidden control panel. The hatch slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a dimly lit corridor. "We're in," Tyler breathed, ushering his team inside. The interior of the ship was a maze of twisting corridors and humming machinery. Tyler's team moved silently, guided by Novak's intimate knowledge of Malon technology. They narrowly avoided detection several times, ducking into alcoves or using the other Malon females' abilities to create distractions. As they neared the ship's command center, Tyler's comm unit crackled to life. Captain Chen's voice came through, tense and breathless. "Johnson, we've reached the bunker, but we're pinned down. Malon patrols everywhere. We'll get the data, but extraction's going to be hot." "Copy that," Tyler replied. "We're closing in on Kraz. Hold tight, Chen." They rounded a corner and found themselves face to face with General Kraz's personal guards. Time seemed to slow as both groups registered each other's presence. Tyler reacted first, tackling the nearest guard while shouting, "Take them down! Non-lethal if possible!" The corridor erupted into chaos. Tyler's team, bolstered by the enhanced abilities of the Malon females, fought with desperate intensity. Zara, with her augmented strength, hurled a guard across the room. Lyra interfaced with a nearby control panel, sealing off the corridor to prevent reinforcements. In the midst of the fray, Tyler spotted an ornate door, Kraz's quarters. He charged forward, shouldering it open. General Kraz stood by a large viewport, his tall, imposing figure silhouetted against the stars. He turned, his four eyes widening in surprise. "How dare you?" Kraz began, reaching for a weapon. Tyler was faster. He tackled the Malon general, the two of them crashing to the floor. They grappled fiercely, Kraz's alien strength nearly overwhelming Tyler. Suddenly, Novak was there, pressing a device against Kraz's neck. The general went limp, unconscious. "Sedative," Novak explained, breathing heavily. "Modified for Malon physiology." Tyler nodded gratefully, but their victory was short-lived. An ear-piercing alarm blared throughout the ship. "Intruder alert!" a mechanical voice announced in the Malon language. Novak translated, her face pale. "We need to move," Tyler ordered, hoisting the unconscious Kraz over his shoulder. "Novak, find us a way out." As they fought their way back through the ship, Tyler spotted a data terminal. Making a split-second decision, he barked, "Cover me!" While his team held off the approaching Malin soldiers, Tyler interfaced with the terminal, copying as much data as he could. The information that flashed across the screen made his blood run cold. Detailed invasion plans, far more extensive than they had imagined. "Got it," he called, disconnecting. "Let's go!" They ran through the corridors, the sounds of pursuit growing louder. Just as it seemed they were cornered, a group of lower-ranking Malin officers appeared, weapons raised. Tyler tensed, preparing for a fight, but to his shock, the officers turned their weapons on their own comrades. "We stand with the impure ones," one of the rebel Malin declared. "Your cruelty ends now, General Kraz." With the unexpected help of the rebel Malin, Tyler's team fought their way to an escape pod. As they jettisoned away from the command ship, Tyler allowed himself a moment of hope. They had Kraz, they had vital intelligence, and they had sparked dissent within the Malin ranks. But his relief was short-lived. As the pod hurtled towards Earth, they witnessed a terrifying sight. Massive Malon ships were moving into position, weapons charging. "They're accelerating their plans," Novak said, her voice trembling. "They mean to destroy all major human population centers." Tyler's mind raced. They needed to rendezvous with Chen, combine their intelligence, and find a way to stop this devastating attack. As the escape pod streaked through the atmosphere, Tyler opened a channel to all known resistance frequencies. "This is Sergeant Tyler Johnson," he broadcast. "To all human resistance cells, we have captured General Kraz and obtained critical Malin intelligence, but the enemy is preparing for a final assault. We need to coordinate a counteroffensive. Stand by for further instructions." As they touched down on the outskirts of the ruined city, Tyler's thoughts turned to Captain Chen and her team. He hoped they had survived and secured the bunker data. Every piece of information, every ally, would be crucial in the coming battle. With Kraz slung over his shoulder and his team at his back, Tyler set out to find Chen. The fate of two species now rested on their success, and the clock was ticking. The Malin bombardment could begin at any moment, and somewhere in this war-torn landscape, the key to humanity's survival awaited them. Tyler led his team through the dense Appalachian forest, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of fallen leaves. The unconscious form of General Kraz lay draped across his shoulders, a constant reminder of the high stakes of their mission. As they approached the hidden entrance to the resistance base, Tyler's mind raced with possibilities. A figure emerged from behind a camouflage barrier, weapon raised. "Identify yourselves!" "Sergeant Tyler Johnson, returning with high-value asset," Tyler responded, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. The guard's eyes widened as he recognized the Malon general. "Holy! Get inside! Quick!" As they entered the underground facility, Tyler was struck by the stark contrast between the natural world above and the hive of advanced technology below. Human scientists worked alongside Malon defectors, their combined efforts focused on banks of computers and strange alien devices. Captain Chen strode towards them, her face etched with both relief and concern. "Johnson, you made it. We've got the bunker data, but the situation's worse than we thought." Before Tyler could respond, a commotion erupted near the entrance. A group of Malin rebels, led by a striking female commander, pushed their way past the guards. "We demand to speak with the human leader," the commander announced, her voice carrying across the room. Tyler stepped forward, positioning himself between the newcomers and his team. "I'm Sergeant Johnson. Who are you?" The Malon female met his gaze unflinchingly. "I am Commander Zira. We have come to offer our support in your fight against the Malon High Command." A tense silence fell over the room. Tyler could feel the weight of everyone's eyes upon him, human and Malon alike. He glanced at the still unconscious form of General Kraz, then back to Zira. "We're grateful for your offer," Tyler said carefully. "But why should we trust you?" Zira's four eyes narrowed. "Because without us, you have no hope of survival. We can provide critical intelligence on Malon weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Tyler considered her words. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and they needed every advantage they could get. He made his decision. All right, Commander, let's talk. Over the next few hours, Tyler, Chen, and Zira engaged in intense negotiations. The rebel Malons shared their knowledge of Malon military strategies and technological weaknesses, while Tyler offered General Kraz as a bargaining chip for their continued support. As discussions progressed, scientists from both species huddled around computer terminals, analyzing the combined data from the bunker and Kraz's personal files. Excitement began to build as patterns emerged. Dr. Emily Sato, the lead human researcher, called Tyler and Chen over to her workstation. "We've found something incredible," she said, her eyes shining with a mix of excitement and disbelief. On the screen, complex molecular structures rotated in a dizzying dance. "The Malon's advanced technology," Dr. Sato explained. "It all depends on a rare element found only on their homeworld. But look at this." She pulled up another set of images, these showing intertwined strands of DNA. "We believe we can synthesize a version of this element by combining human and Malon genetic material. If we're right, it could disrupt their entire energy system." Tyler's mind reeled at the implications. "How soon can we test this?" Dr. Sato's excitement dimmed slightly. "That's the catch. We need volunteers for a potentially dangerous procedure. The process of creating this synthetic element, it could have severe physical side effects." Without hesitation, Tyler stepped forward. "I'll do it." "Tyler, no," Chen protested. "We can't risk losing you." But Tyler's decision was made. To his surprise, Novak moved to stand beside him. "I will also volunteer," she said, her voice quiet but resolute. The next few hours passed in a blur of medical equipment in searing pain. Tyler gritted his teeth as the machines extracted samples of his bone marrow and DNA. Beside him, Novak endured the same, her alien physiology reacting differently, but no less painfully, to the procedure. As the scientists combined their genetic material, Tyler felt a strange connection forming between himself and Novak. Their eyes met across the lab, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Finally, Dr. Sato approached, holding a small vial of shimmering liquid. "It worked," she said, her voice filled with awe. "We've created a small amount of the compound. If our calculations are correct, this could be the key to defeating the Malon." Tyler tried to stand, but his legs buckled beneath him. The procedure had taken a greater toll than he'd anticipated. Novak, too, seemed weakened, her usually vibrant skin pale and drawn. "You both need rest," Dr. Sato insisted, helping Tyler back onto the medical bed. "Your bodies have been through a tremendous strain." As Tyler drifted in and out of consciousness, he became aware of raised voices echoing through the facility. Despite his exhaustion, he forced himself to focus. "We can't trust these aliens," a man was shouting. "They've nearly wiped us out, and now we're supposed to believe these defectors want to help?" Tyler recognized the voice as belonging to Marcus Graves, a charismatic and outspoken member of the resistance. He struggled to sit up, knowing he needed to intervene before the situation escalated. But his body betrayed him, refusing to cooperate. As darkness closed in around him, Tyler's last thoughts were of Novak and the fragile alliance that now held the key to humanity's survival. When Tyler finally regained full consciousness, he found the resistance base in turmoil. Marcus Graves had rallied a faction of human fighters who shared his distrust of the Malon defectors. They were demanding immediate action, pushing for aggressive interrogation of General Kraz. Tyler stumbled out of the medical bay, his body still weak but his mind clear. He found Marcus and a group of his supporters surrounding the containment cell where Kraz was being held. "Stand down, Graves," Tyler ordered, his voice hoarse but commanding. Marcus turned, his face twisted with anger and fear. "Johnson, you can't be serious. We have the butcher of billions in our hands, and you want to play nice? We need answers now." Tyler stepped between Marcus and the cell. "And we'll get them, but not like this. We need Kraz alive and cooperative if we're going to have any chance against the Malon fleet." The tension in the room was palpable. Tyler could see the doubt in the eyes of the other resistance fighters. He knew he had to make a choice, maintain unity among his human comrades, or protect the fragile alliance with the Milan defectors. Taking a deep breath, Tyler addressed the room. I know you're scared. We all are. But we can't let fear drive us to become the very monsters we're fighting against. Our strength lies in our humanity, in our ability to forge alliances even with those we once called enemies. He gestured towards Novak and the other Milan defectors. These brave individuals have risked everything to help us. They've provided us with invaluable intelligence and even their own DNA to create a weapon against the Milan fleet. We owe them our trust and protection. Marcus scoffed, but Tyler could see his words were having an effect on the others. He pressed on. We have a plan. A risky one, yes, but one that could save our planet. I'm asking you to trust me, to trust in the alliance we've forged. Together, we can end this war. Slowly, the tension in the room began to dissipate. Marcus, realizing he had lost his audience, stormed off, but the majority of the fighters remained, looking to Tyler for guidance. As Tyler began outlining their strategy to infiltrate the Milan terraforming control center, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Captain Chen burst into the room, her face grim. We've got incoming, she announced. A massive Milan fleet just entered the solar system. They'll reach Earth within 48 hours. Tyler's mind raced. They were out of time. He turned to the assembled group, human and Milan alike. This is it, he said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment. Are you with me? The response was unanimous. As Tyler began assigning roles for the mission, he caught Novak's eye across the room. In her alien gaze, he saw not just an ally, but something more. A connection that transcended species, forged in shared sacrifice and hope for the future. With the fate of two worlds hanging in the balance, Tyler led his diverse team toward the surface. The Milan fleet loomed ever closer, but in the determined faces around him, Tyler saw the strength that could turn the tide of war. As they stepped into the cool night air, the first faint streaks of the Milan ships could be seen burning across the sky, harbingers of the battle to come. Come? Tyler took a deep breath, steadying himself for the challenges ahead. As they emerged from the underground facility, the night sky blazed with the fiery trails of incoming Milan ships. Tyler's team moved swiftly through the forest, their path illuminated by the eerie glow of the alien fleet. New intel coming in, Captain Chen's voice crackled over the comm. The Milan fleet is being led by Supreme Commander Vex. He's Kraz's superior and the mastermind behind the invasion. Tyler's heart sank. This changed everything. He turned to his team, their faces a mix of human and Milan features, all united in purpose. Listen up, we've got a new priority target. Vex is on that fleet, and taking him out could end this war. Novak stepped forward, her alien eyes gleaming with drive. The control center will be heavily guarded. I can bypass their security systems, but we'll need a distraction. Tyler nodded, his mind racing. Chen, can you provide air support? Affirmative, Chen responded. We've got a mix of human and Milan aircraft ready to go. Good. And Marcus? Tyler hesitated, knowing the risks of involving the volatile resistance fighter. Standing by with a ground team, Chen confirmed. Tyler laid out the plan. His strike team would infiltrate the facility while Chen coordinated air support. Marcus and his group would launch a diversionary attack, drawing attention away from Tyler's main objective. As they approached the terraforming control center, the scale of the Milan operation became clear. The massive structure pulsed with alien energy, distorting the landscape around it. Milan troops patrolled the perimeter, their weapons at the ready. Tyler signaled to his team, and they split into pre-assigned groups. Novak stayed close to him, her presence oddly comforting in the face of overwhelming odds. The sound of explosions ripped through the air as Marcus's team engaged the Milan forces. Flashes of weapons fire lit up the night sky, and Tyler used the chaos to lead his group towards a side entrance. Novak worked quickly, her fingers dancing over the alien control panel. Got it, she whispered as the door slid open. They slipped inside, immediately encountering a squad of Milan soldiers. Tyler raised his weapon, but before he could fire, one of the Milan defectors, Lyra, stepped forward. Brothers, join us, she pleaded in their native tongue. The High Command has led us astray. We can end this war together. For a moment, the Malon soldiers hesitated. Then with a snarl, they opened fire. Lyra fell, her body shielding Tyler from the barrage. "No!" Tyler cried. But there was no time to mourn. They fought their way through the corridor, the loss of Lyra weighing heavily on them all. As they battled deeper into the facility, Tyler's comm crackled to life. "Johnson, we've got a problem." Chen's voice was tense. "Marcus has gone off plan. He's pushing too far, too fast. We're losing control of the situation." Tyler cursed under his breath. "Do what you can to contain it, Chen. We're almost at the main chamber." They reached the central terraforming control room, a vast space filled with pulsing alien technology. Novak immediately set to work, her hands flying over the controls as she initiated the shutdown sequence and planted explosive charges. A deep, resonant voice filled the chamber. "Impressive humans, but futile." Supreme Commander Vex stepped into view, his massive form dwarfing even the largest Malon, his eyes fixed on Tyler with cold intelligence. "You fought well," Vex continued, advancing slowly. "But your race is finished. Accept your extinction with dignity." Tyler raised his weapon, but Vex moved with surprising speed. A powerful blow sent Tyler's gun skittering across the floor. They engaged in hand-to-hand combat, Vex's superior strength and size giving him a clear advantage. Tyler fought with everything he had, but he was still weakened from the genetic experimentation. Each blow from Vex sent shockwaves of pain through his body. He could taste blood in his mouth as he struggled to stay on his feet. "Tyler!" Novak's voice cut through the haze of pain. "The element? There's enough here to cripple their entire fleet if we detonate it." Tyler's mind raced, understanding the implications. A blast of that magnitude would destroy the facility, and anyone inside it. He looked at Novak, saw the same realization in her eyes. "Get everyone out," he ordered between gasps for air. "I'll hold him off." Novak hesitated for a moment, then nodded. She ushered the rest of the team towards the exit, her fingers still working to rig the system for overload. Vex laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "Your bravery is admirable but misplaced. You will die here, and your world will follow." The Milan commander lunged forward, his massive hands closing around Tyler's throat. Spots danced in Tyler's vision as he struggled for air. This was it, he thought. The end. Suddenly, the pressure released. Tyler fell to the ground, gasping. He looked up to see General Kraz grappling with Vex. "Go!" Kraz shouted, straining against the larger Milan's strength. "End this madness!" Tyler scrambled to his feet, locking eyes with Kraz for a moment. Understanding passed between them. The respect of two soldiers, once enemies, now united in a greater cause. He ran, every step agony, following Novak's trail. Behind him, he heard the sounds of a titanic struggle, then an ominous silence. They burst out of the facility just as the first tremors began. Tyler and Novak sprinted across the battlefield, debris raining down around them. The ground heaved beneath their feet as the control center exploded in a blinding flash of light. A massive cloud of shimmering particles billowed outward, enveloping everything in its path. Above them, Malon ships began to falter, their engines sputtering and dying as the disruptive compound took effect. Tyler and Novak collapsed on a hillside, watching as the Malon fleet fell from the sky. The silence that followed was deafening. As the dust began to settle, cheers erupted from the human and Malon defector forces. Tyler allowed himself a moment of relief, but he knew their victory was far from complete. In the distance, a lone Malon ship streaked away from the planet. Aboard it, Tyler was certain, was Supreme Commander Vex, bloodied but unbowed, already planning his return. And all around them, the disruptive compound continued to spread, its effects on Earth's ecosystem yet to be fully understood. Tyler looked at Novak, saw his own mix of triumph and uncertainty reflected in her alien features. "What now?" she asked, her hand finding his. Tyler squeezed it gently, his mind already turning to the challenges ahead. "Now," he said, "we prepare for what comes next." "Next," Tyler said, "we prepare for what comes next." In the days following the battle at the terraforming control center, Tyler and Novak threw themselves into fortifying Earth's defenses. They repurposed salvaged Malon technology, establishing a network of early warning systems to detect any approaching enemy ships. Tyler stood in the makeshift command center, studying a holographic display of Earth's orbit. Novak approached, her alien features illuminated by the soft blue glow. "The last satellite is online," she reported. "We'll have full coverage within the hour." Tyler nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "Good work. How are the Malon defectors integrating with the rest of the resistance?" Novak's expression softened. "Better than expected. Your leadership has inspired many. They see hope in our cooperation." Their eyes met, and Tyler felt a familiar warmth spread through his chest. He reached out, taking Novak's hand in his own. The gesture felt natural, despite their physical differences. "We couldn't have done this without you," Tyler said softly. Novak squeezed his hand gently. "Nor I without you." Their moment was interrupted by the arrival of Marcus Graves. The resistance fighter's face was set in a permanent scowl as he eyed Novak with barely concealed disgust. "If you're done fraternizing with the enemy," Marcus spat, "we have reports of strange occurrences in the nearby forest." Tyler released Novak's hand, his expression hardening. "The Malon defectors are our allies, Marcus. I won't tell you again." Marcus sneered but said nothing further. Tyler sighed, turning to address both of them. "What kind of occurrences?" "Plants growing at impossible rates," Marcus reported. "Animals exhibiting mutations." Tyler's brow furrowed. "The disruptive compound. We need to study its effects on the ecosystem." He quickly assembled a team of human and Malon scientists, tasking them with investigating and mitigating the compound's impact. As the days passed, reports of ecological anomalies increased. Trees twisted into impossible shapes, and deer were spotted with extra limbs or glowing fur. Despite the growing challenges, Tyler found solace in his deepening relationship with Novak. They spent long hours working side by side, their different perspectives combining to form innovative solutions. Their bond became a symbol of hope for human-Malon cooperation, inspiring more defectors to join the resistance. However, not everyone shared their optimism. Marcus Graves gathered a group of like-minded individuals, forming a splinter faction within the resistance. Their xenophobic rhetoric grew louder, threatening the fragile unity Tyler had worked so hard to build. One evening, Tyler confronted Marcus in the Resistance's mess hall. The room fell silent as the two men faced each other. "This has to stop, Marcus," Tyler said, keeping his voice level. "We need to stand together if we're going to survive." Marcus laughed bitterly. "Stand together? With the very aliens who tried to wipe us out? You're leading us to extinction, Johnson." "The Malon aren't a monolith," Tyler argued. "Many of them want peace, just like us. We can't let fear drive us apart." But Marcus wouldn't be swayed. He stormed out, leaving Tyler with a sinking feeling in his gut. The ideological rift was widening, and he wasn't sure how to bridge it. Weeks passed, and the resistance settled into a tense routine of preparation and study. Then everything changed in an instant. "Tyler!" Novak burst into his quarters, her eyes wide with urgency. "We've intercepted a Malon transmission. It's Vex." They rushed to the command center, where a holographic message played on loop. Supreme Commander Vex's imposing figure loomed before them, his voice filled with cold willpower. "Prepare yourselves, humans," Vex growled. "I return with a fleet beyond your comprehension. Your pathetic compound will not save you this time." The message cut out, leaving the room in stunned silence. Tyler's mind raced, processing the implications. "They've developed a way to shield their ships from the compound," he realized aloud. "We need to act fast." Tyler gathered his top lieutenants, including Novak and a reluctant Marcus. He laid out a daring plan, a mission to Mars, where the Malon had established a forward base. Their objective would be to steal the plans for the shielding technology and gather intelligence on the Malon homeworld's defenses. "This is our best shot at a preemptive strike," Tyler explained. "A small team, in and out quickly." To everyone's surprise, including his own, Tyler assigned Marcus to the mission. "We need your skills," he told the surly resistance fighter. "And it's time we put our differences aside for the greater good." As preparations for the Mars mission began, a new arrival to the Resistance caught Tyler's attention. Dr. Ilara Voss, a human xenobiologist with extensive knowledge of Malan biology, offered her expertise in developing more effective weapons against the alien invaders. Dr. Voss proved invaluable, but her presence created an unexpected tension. Tyler couldn't help but notice the way she and Novak eyed each other warily, their interactions tinged with an unspoken rivalry. Finally, the day of the mission arrived. Tyler led his team, including Novak, Marcus, and a mix of human and Malan operatives, to a captured Malan shuttle. As they prepared for launch, Tyler addressed the group. "What we do today could mean the difference between survival and extinction," he said. "Watch each other's backs. We're all in this together." The shuttle lifted off, climbing through Earth's atmosphere. As the blue sky faded to the blackness of space, Tyler allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. So much had changed since the day he first encountered the Malan. Now, human and alien alike looked to him for leadership. He felt Novak's hand on his shoulder and turned to meet her gaze. In her eyes, he saw his own perseverance reflected back at him. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The red planet grew larger in the view screen as they approached their target. Tyler took a deep breath, steeling himself for the battle to come. The future of Earth hung in the balance, and failure was not an option. The red planet loomed before them, its rust-colored surface a stark contrast to the inky blackness of space. Tyler gripped the shuttle's controls, guiding the craft towards the Malan forward base. The mission had gone smoothly so far, but he knew the real challenge lay ahead. As they approached the base, hidden within a massive impact crater, Tyler felt a familiar tension build in his chest. He glanced at his team. Novak, her alien features set in willpower. Marcus, his teeth clenched tightly. And the others, a mix of human and Malan operatives, united in purpose. "Remember," Tyler said, his voice low but firm, "our priority is the shielding technology plans and intel on their homeworld's defenses. We get in, we get out. No heroics." The shuttle touched down silently on the outskirts of the base. Tyler led the team across the Martian landscape, their magnetic boots allowing them to move swiftly despite the low gravity. They reached the base's perimeter undetected, Novak's expertise with Malan systems allowing them to bypass the security measures. Inside, they moved through dimly lit corridors, the air thick with tension. Tyler's enhanced senses, a result of the genetic experimentation he'd endured, picked up the faintest sounds of movement ahead. He signaled the team to halt, then peered around a corner. Two Malan guards stood before a sealed door, their posture relaxed but alert. Tyler caught Novak's eye and nodded. In a fluid motion, they sprang into action. Tyler engaged the first guard, his augmented strength allowing him to overpower the larger alien. Novak dispatched the second with a precisely aimed stun blast. Marcus stepped forward, his skilled hands making quick work of the door's lock. As it slid open, they found themselves in a vast chamber, filled with holographic displays and pulsing energy cores. "This is it," Novak whispered, her eyes scanning the alien text scrolling across the screens. "The shielding data, and more. Tyler, they're planning to launch their counterattack in 2 weeks." Tyler's mind raced as he processed the implications. "Download everything. We need to—" An alarm blared, cutting off his words. Red lights pulsed throughout the chamber as the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the corridor. "We've been made," Marcus growled, raising his weapon. "Time to go." The team fought their way back through the base, Malan forces converging on their position. Tyler's enhanced reflexes allowed him to stay one step ahead, but he could see the strain on his companions' faces. As they neared the exit, a massive figure stepped into their path. Supreme Commander Vex, his eyes burning with cold fury. "Did you think you could infiltrate my base so easily, Tyler Johnson?" Vex's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Tyler raised his weapon, but Vex was faster. A blast of energy struck Tyler square in the chest, sending him flying backward. He slammed into a wall, pain exploding through his body. Through blurred vision, he saw Novak and Marcus engaging Vex, buying time for the others to escape. Tyler struggled to his feet, every movement agony. "Go!" he shouted to his team. "Get that data back to Earth." Novak hesitated, torn between her duty and her concern for Tyler. In that moment of distraction, Vex landed a devastating blow, sending her crumpling to the ground. Tyler's world narrowed to a pinpoint of rage and desperation. He charged at Vex, ignoring the screaming protests of his battered body. They grappled, Tyler's augmented strength allowing him to match the Milan commander for a few crucial seconds. "Novak, Marcus, run!" Tyler gasped, using every ounce of his remaining energy to hold Vex back. He saw the conflict in their eyes, but they understood the stakes. Marcus scooped up Novak's unconscious form, and they retreated with the rest of the team. Vex roared in frustration, redoubling his efforts to break free of Tyler's grip. Tyler felt his strength fading, black spots dancing at the edges of his vision. With a final surge of effort, he activated the explosive charges they had planted throughout the base. The first detonations rocked the structure, giving Tyler the opening he needed. He released Vex and sprinted for the exit, his legs carrying him forward on pure adrenaline. The Martian air hit him like a physical force as he burst out of the base. In the distance, he saw the shuttle lifting off, carrying his team and the vital intelligence to safety. A wave of relief washed over him, quickly followed by a surge of pain as his injuries caught up with him. Tyler stumbled across the red landscape, each step an exercise in agony. Behind him, the Malon base erupted in a series of explosions. He allowed himself a grim smile of satisfaction before his legs finally gave out. As he lay on the Martian soil, struggling to remain conscious, Tyler saw a shadow fall over him. He looked up to see Supreme Commander Vex, battered but unbowed, looming above him. "Your efforts are admirable, Tyler Johnson," Vex said, his voice a mix of anger and grudging respect. "But they change nothing. We will rebuild, and Earth will fall." Tyler's vision began to darken, but he forced out a defiant response. "As long as one human draws breath, Vex, we'll keep fighting." The last thing Tyler saw before losing consciousness was a Malin shuttle descending from the sky, no doubt summoned by Vex to retrieve them both. Days later, Tyler awoke to the sterile white of a medical bay. His body felt like one massive bruise, but he was alive and back on Earth. Dr. Ilara Voss stood over him, her face a mixture of concern and relief. "Welcome back, Commander Johnson," she said, checking his vital signs. "You gave us quite a scare." Tyler tried to sit up, wincing at the movement. "The mission, the data—" "Successful," came Novak's voice from the doorway. She entered, her own injuries evident but healing. "Thanks to you." As Dr. Voss and Novak brought Tyler up to speed on the Resistance's analysis of the intelligence they'd gathered, his mind was already racing ahead to the challenges that lay before them. Supreme Commander Vex's fleet would arrive in less than 2 weeks, and Earth needed to be ready. Tyler's gaze fell on the viewport, where the cratered surface of the moon was just visible. An idea began to form in his mind, a desperate plan, but one that might give humanity a fighting chance against the coming storm. Tyler's gaze lingered on the moon's cratered surface, his mind racing with possibilities. He turned to Novak and Dr. Voss, his expression grave but determined. "We need to split our forces," he said, his voice steady despite the weight of the decision. "Novak, I want you to lead a small team to infiltrate the Milan homeworld. We need more intel on their defenses and any potential weaknesses we can exploit." Novak nodded, her alien features set with drive. "I'll assemble a team immediately." Tyler continued, "I'll lead the main assault against Vex's fleet. We'll use the moon's gravitational field to our advantage. Try to outmaneuver them." Dr. Voss interjected, her brow furrowed with concern. "Commander, are you sure you're fit for combat? Your injuries—" "I'll manage," Tyler cut her off, perhaps more sharply than he intended. He softened his tone. "We don't have the luxury of time. Vex's fleet will be here in less than 2 weeks." As Novak left to prepare her team, Tyler turned his attention to the tactical displays. He studied the projected paths of Vex's fleet, looking for any advantage they could exploit. Hours later, Tyler stood before the assembled resistance fighters. Human and Malon faces looked back at him, united in purpose despite their differences. He introduced Captain Sarah Chen, a skilled tactician he'd selected to lead the rescue mission for Novak's team. "Captain Chen will ensure our people make it back safely," Tyler explained. Meanwhile, we'll engage Vex's fleet head-on. It won't be easy, but we have surprise and maneuverability on our side. As the Resistance forces prepared for battle, Novak's team approached the Milan homeworld. They used a combination of stealth technology and the planet's atmospheric disturbances to slip past the orbital defenses undetected. On the surface, Novak led her squad through the shadows of towering alien structures. They made their way to a heavily guarded weapons facility, the likely source of the Milan's new shielding technology. "Remember," Novak whispered to her team, "we're here for intel. Avoid engagement unless absolutely necessary." They infiltrated the facility, using their knowledge of Milan systems to bypass security measures. As they downloaded crucial data from the central computer core, alarms blared throughout the complex. "We've been made!" one of Novak's team shouted. Novak quickly assessed their options. Improvise defenses, use their own tech against them. The team sprang into action, repurposing Malan energy conduits into makeshift weapons. They fought their way through waves of security forces, Novak's intimate knowledge of Malan physiology, allowing them to target weak points with deadly precision. As they neared the exit, a group of Malan rebels intercepted them. The rebels, led by a grizzled veteran named Kraz, offered to guide them to safety. "We have a safe house," Kraz explained as they ran through winding back alleys. "And information you'll want to hear." Once secure in the rebel hideout, Kraz revealed a critical weakness in the planetary defense system. "There's a flaw in the shield generator's power distribution," he said, pointing to a holographic display. "Hit it right, and the whole system could collapse." Novak's eyes widened as she realized the implications. This could turn the tide of the entire war. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, Tyler led the Resistance fleet against Vex's advancing armada. He used the moon's gravity to slingshot smaller, more agile ships around the Malan's flanks, striking at vulnerable points before retreating. But despite their innovative tactics, the Resistance fighters were taking heavy losses. The Malan shields proved too strong for their weapons, and Vex's superior numbers began to overwhelm them. Tyler gritted his teeth as another of their ships exploded in a brilliant flash. "We need a breakthrough," he muttered, scanning the tactical displays for any advantage. Just as defeat seemed imminent, a transmission crackled through. "Tyler, we've got it!" Novak's voice filled the command center. "Sending you the shield schematics now." Tyler's heart raced as he forwarded the data to Dr. Voss on the lunar base. "Ilara, tell me you can find something we can use." Dr. Voss worked feverishly, her fingers flying over holographic interfaces as she analyzed the Milan shield design. Her eyes lit up as she spotted a critical flaw. "Tyler, I've got it!" she exclaimed. "We can create a feedback loop in their shield generators. It'll cause them to overload and fail." Without hesitation, Tyler ordered the fleet to implement Dr. Voss's strategy. They targeted key ships in Vex's fleet, concentrating fire on specific points to trigger the feedback loop. The effect was immediate and devastating. Malan's ships began to lose their shields, leaving them vulnerable to the Resistance's attacks. The tide of battle shifted dramatically as Tyler pressed their advantage. On the bridge of his flagship, Supreme Commander Vex watched in disbelief as his fleet fell into disarray. "Impossible," he growled, his massive form tensing with rage. Tyler's voice crackled over the Milan communication channels. "It's over, Vex. Surrender now, and we can end this without further bloodshed." But Vex had no intention of surrendering. As Tyler's forces closed in on the flagship, the Malan commander slipped away in a small, fast attack craft, disappearing into the chaos of the battle. With Vex's fleet in retreat, the Resistance turned its attention to the Malan homeworld. The rebel faction, emboldened by the space battle's outcome, launched a coordinated uprising against the military government. Tyler deployed troops to support the rebels, hoping to end the war decisively. As the fighting intensified on the Milan homeworld, he received an urgent communication from Marcus Graves. "Tyler, we've got a situation." Marcus's voice was tense. "I've uncovered the identity of the traitor in our midst. It's Dr. Voss." The revelation hit Tyler like a physical blow. He watched in shock as security footage showed Marcus apprehending Dr. Voss, who managed to transmit a final message before being taken into custody. As Tyler grappled with this betrayal, long-range sensors detected a massive fleet approaching from deep space. The unknown alien force, alerted by Dr. Voss's transmissions, now threatened both humanity and the Malone. Tyler's mind raced as he assessed the new threat. He knew that the survival of both species depended on their ability to overcome centuries of mistrust and conflict. "Novak," he called over the comm channel, "meet me in the command center. We need to draft a treaty, and fast. The war we thought we were ending, it might have been just the beginning." As Tyler moved to face this new challenge, he couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy held far more dangers than they had ever imagined. The alliance between humans and Malone, forged in the heat of battle, would now be tested against an unknown enemy that threatened them all. Tyler took a deep breath, steadying himself as he faced the assembled leaders of Earth and the Malone rebel faction. The command center hummed with tension, holographic displays flickering with data on the approaching alien fleet. "We stand at a crossroads," Tyler began, his voice firm. "Our past conflicts pale in comparison to the threat we now face. The Consortium comes not just for Earth or the Malone homeworld, but for both our species." He gestured to the treaty document hovering in the center of the room. "This alliance is our best hope for survival. Together, we can forge a defense that neither of us could manage alone." Novak stepped forward, her alien features set with perseverance. "As someone who has fought on both sides of our previous war, I can attest to the strength we possess when united. The Consortium believes us weakened by conflict. Let us show them how wrong they are." Over the next hours, human and Malon representatives pored over the details of the Earth-Malon Mutual Defense Treaty. Tyler watched as centuries of mistrust began to dissolve in the face of a common enemy. When the final signatures were applied, a palpable sense of relief washed over the room. With the treaty in place, the real work began. Tyler found himself constantly in motion, overseeing the integration of human and Malon forces. On a repurposed orbital station, he watched as a human pilot and a Malon weapons officer ran through combat simulations. "Adjust your targeting parameters," the human pilot called out, her hands dancing over the controls. "Remember, our ships are more maneuverable than you're used to." The Malon officer nodded, his four eyes narrowing in concentration as he recalibrated the weapon systems. Tyler smiled as he saw the simulated enemy ships blink out of existence under their combined assault. Meanwhile, in a high-security facility on Earth, Marcus Graves sat across from Dr. Alara Voss. The once respected scientist now looked haggard, her eyes darting nervously around the interrogation room. "Tell me about the Consortium," Marcus demanded, his voice cold. "What are we up against?" Voss swallowed hard before speaking. "They're unlike anything you've encountered. Multiple species, unified in their goal of galactic domination. They seek out civilizations weakened by war, offering aid only to subsume them into their collective." Marcus leaned forward. "And you helped them? Why?" "I believed it was inevitable," Voss whispered. "That resistance was futile. I thought by cooperating, I could secure a place for humanity within their hierarchy." As Marcus extracted more information from Voss, Tyler and Novak focused on bolstering their defenses. In a vast orbital shipyard, human and Malon engineers worked side by side, integrating their technologies. "The stealth systems are online," a human technician reported, her voice tinged with excitement. "Malon shields are at 95% efficiency and climbing." Novak nodded approvingly. "Good. Now let's see if we can push that efficiency even higher." Tyler watched as a prototype of their new defensive platform shimmered into invisibility. It was a testament to what their species could achieve together. On the Malon homeworld, Captain Sarah Chen found herself mediating a tense standoff between rebel forces and loyalists to the old regime. She stood between the two groups, her voice calm but authoritative. "Every moment we spend fighting each other is a moment we're not preparing for the real enemy," she said, gesturing to the sky. "The Consortium won't care about your political differences when they arrive." Slowly, the opposing factions lowered their weapons. Chen allowed herself a small sigh of relief before organizing mixed teams to begin fortifying the planet's defenses. Back in the command center, Tyler studied the latest long-range scans with growing concern. The Consortium fleet was vast, a sea of ships that seemed to stretch into infinity. "We're outgunned," he murmured, running a hand through his hair. "Even with our combined forces, a direct confrontation would be suicide." Novak joined him at the display, her expression grim. "Then we need to change the rules of engagement. What if we could reduce their numbers before they reach us?" Tyler's eyes lit up as an idea took shape. "A preemptive strike. If we can take out their advanced scouts, we might be able to strand part of their fleet in deep space." He quickly assembled a team of top operatives, both human and Milan. As they prepared for the high-risk mission, debates raged among the Alliance leadership. "Commander Johnson is too valuable to risk on this operation," argued a human admiral. "We need him here, coordinating our defenses." A Malan rebel leader countered, "His experience with both our species makes him uniquely qualified to lead this mission. No one else has his insight." As the arguments continued, Tyler focused on preparing his team. He and Novak ran them through rigorous drills, honing their ability to work together in the confined spaces of a consortium ship. Just as they were making final preparations, an urgent message came through. A Malan scout ship had detected unusual energy signatures near the edge of the solar system. "It's Vex," Novak said, her voice tight with anger. "He's been tracking the consortium. If he makes contact with them..." Tyler nodded grimly. "Then our entire plan could be compromised. We need to move now." As they boarded their stealth ship, Tyler took one last look at the Earth-Malan fleet assembling in orbit. The fate of both their species now rested on the success of this mission. The ship's engines hummed to life, and Tyler felt the familiar pull of acceleration as they broke orbit. Ahead lay the vastness of space, and somewhere out there, a consortium scout ship waited, unaware of the danger rapidly approaching. Tyler turned to his team, a mix of human and Malan faces looking back at him with drive. "All right," he said, his voice steady. "Let's go make history." Tyler's stealth ship glided silently through the void, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it nearly invisible against the star-studded backdrop. As they neared the coordinates of the consortium scout ship, a familiar silhouette appeared on their long-range scanners. "That's a Malan attack craft," Novak said, her voice tight with surprise. "And it's transmitting an ident code I never thought I'd see again." Tyler leaned forward, studying the readout. "Vex," he muttered, a mix of emotions playing across his face. "What's he doing out here?" Before anyone could respond, a transmission crackled through their comms. "Commander Johnson," Vex's gravelly voice filled the bridge. "I believe we have a common enemy." Tension rippled through the crew as Tyler considered his options. After a moment, he nodded to his communications officer. "Open a channel." The view screen flickered to life, revealing Vex's battle-scarred visage. The former Supreme Commander of the Malan forces looked haggard, but his eyes burned with a fierce intensity. "I've been tracking the consortium's movements," Vex said without preamble. "Their scout ship is heavily defended, but I've identified vulnerabilities in their systems." Tyler exchanged a glance with Novak, seeing his own skepticism mirrored in her eyes. "And why should we trust you, Vex? The last time we met, you were trying to conquer Earth." Vex's expression hardened. "The galaxy has changed, Johnson. The consortium threatens us all. I offer my tactical knowledge freely, use it or don't. But know this, alone, neither of us stands a chance against what's coming." After a tense deliberation with his team, Tyler made his decision. "Transmit your data, Vex. We'll verify it en route. But if this is a trick..." "It's no trick," Vex growled. "I'll prove it to you in battle." As they approached the consortium scout ship, Tyler's team worked feverishly to integrate Vex's intelligence with their existing plans. The massive alien vessel loomed before them, its biomechanical design unlike anything they'd encountered before. "Activating Malan cloaking technology," the tactical officer announced. The ship's systems hummed as the experimental hybrid stealth system engaged, enveloping them in a field that bent light and sensor readings around their hull. Tyler nodded to Novak. "You're up. Get us aboard." Novak's fingers danced over the controls, guiding their ship through a maze of energy fields and automated defenses. With each maneuver, Vex's intelligence proved its worth, allowing them to slip past the consortium's outer perimeter undetected. As they docked with the alien vessel, Tyler turned to his strike team. Remember your training. We move fast, we stay quiet, and we complete the mission. Let's go. The team moves swiftly through the scout ship's twisted corridors, their path illuminated by an eerie bioluminescent glow. Strange tendrils writhed along the walls, and more than once they had to duck into recesses to avoid patrolling biomechanical sentries. Novak proved invaluable, her quick mind deciphering the ship's alien logic. She guided them through security checkpoints and around dangerous energy fields, always one step ahead of detection. As they neared the faster-than-light drive, Tyler's skin crawled with an increasing sense of wrongness. The ship felt alive in a way that defied explanation, its very structure pulsing with an alien heartbeat. They entered a vast chamber housing the FTL drive, a towering spire of impossible geometry that hurt the eyes to look at directly. As Tyler began planting charges, he noticed something that made his blood run cold. Embedded in the drive structure were what looked like stasis pods, each containing a different alien species. Some were clearly conscious, their eyes darting about in terror. "My God," Tyler breathed. "They're not just conquering other species, they're assimilating them." Novak examined a nearby console, her face pale. "It's worse than that. They're erasing everything these beings were, their memories, their culture, their very identities. They're turning them into drones." The revelation hit Tyler like a physical blow, strengthening his dedication. "Then we make damn sure they never reach Earth or the Milan homeworld. Set the charges. We're taking this whole ship down." As they worked, a nightmarish figure emerged from the shadows, the ship's commander. It was a grotesque fusion of multiple species, its body a patchwork of mismatched limbs and alien features. "Intruders," it hissed, its voice a cacophony of different tones and timbres. "You will be added to our perfection." The team opened fire, but their weapons seemed to have little effect on the monstrous being. It lashed out with tentacles of living metal, scattering the strike team. Tyler and Novak found themselves fighting back-to-back, their movements perfectly synchronized after months of training together. They ducked and weaved, drawing the commander's attention while the rest of the team completed their sabotage. Just as they gained the upper hand, a piercing alarm shattered the air. The commander, with its dying breath, had triggered a distress signal. "Our cover's blown," Tyler shouted over the din. "New plan. We're overloading this drive and turning this whole ship into a bomb. Move!" As they raced back to their ship, they encountered Vex, who had boarded during the chaos. "Go!" the Milan commander roared, laying down covering fire against a wave of Consortium drones. "I'll hold them off!" Tyler hesitated for a split second, then nodded grimly. "Your sacrifice won't be forgotten, Vex." They sprinted the final stretch, diving into their ship as the scout vessel's structure began to buckle around them. Novak's piloting skills were put to the ultimate test as she navigated through a storm of debris and energy discharges. They burst free of the Consortium ship moments before it exploded in a blinding flash of light. The shock wave buffeted their small vessel, alarms blaring as systems overloaded. As the glare faded, Tyler saw the impossible. The vast Consortium fleet, its perfect formation now in disarray, reeling from the subspace shockwave. "It worked," he breathed, allowing himself a moment of hope. Then, his voice hardening with dedication, he opened a channel to the Earth-Milan Alliance fleet. "All units, this is Commander Johnson. The enemy is vulnerable. Commence the attack." The scene that unfolded was one for the history books. Human and Malin ships, once bitter enemies, now flying in perfect concert. Their combined tactics and technologies caught the Consortium completely off guard. Tyler watched in awe as Captain Chen led a daring attack run, her mixed squadron of human and Malin fighters weaving through the orbital defense platform's coverage to strike at the heart of the enemy fleet. As the battle raged, Tyler knew their work wasn't done. He turned to Novak, seeing the same fire in her eyes that burned in his own. "Ready for one last mission?" he asked. Novak's four eyes narrowed with purpose. "Always," she replied. Tyler opened a comm channel. "Marcus, we're going to board the Consortium command ship. Can you clear us a path?" Marcus Graves' voice came back, steady and confident. "Consider it done, Commander. Give them hell." As their ship streaked towards the massive Consortium command vessel, Tyler allowed himself a moment to marvel at how far they'd come. Humans and Malin working together to save not just their own worlds, but countless others from a fate worse than death. The command ship loomed before them, a fortress of biomechanical horror. But Tyler knew that with Novak by his side, and the combined might of two species at their back, they had a fighting chance. "All right," he said, checking his weapons one last time. "Let's end this."
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.